Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to stand for our national anthem. Please be seated. The invocation today will be given by the University Chaplain, Craig Coker. Chaplain Coker.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we give thanks for these graduates who have finished their course of study. We are grateful for all those who have walked at their side, for the friendships they have made, the insights they have found, and the knowledge they now possess. And give them a right pursuit of justice and truth. Keep them attentive to conscience, servants of the common good, and kind and giving with all. Amen.
Mr. Herring, distinguished guests, colleagues, parents, friends, and class of 2019. It is my privilege as president to welcome you to the 147th ceremony awarding degrees to graduates of the School of Law as part of the 189th commencement of the University of Richmond. It is a pleasure to celebrate with you the achievements of our 2019 graduates who have been invaluable members of our community of scholars. It is also a pleasure to welcome to campus the families and friends of our graduates and to thank you for providing them with the support and guidance they needed to reach this milestone in their lives. I know you are just as excited as we are, if not more so, to celebrate the culmination of their many years of study. Graduates, we know that years of hard work have preceded this moment, and we applaud your passion and determination. Many of you have told me of the close bonds you've shared with your classmates and of the detailed attention you've received from the faculty and of the sense of community that is a hallmark of Richmond Law. Today, as we recognize the individual and collective achievements of the class of 2019, we look forward with great hope and anticipation to your continued accomplishments in the year ahead. I am confident that your education has prepared you to make a difference in the world and in the lives of others. And I am grateful that, through your service to society, you will help the University of Richmond to fulfill its mission of promoting justice and the common good. Thank you and congratulations.
On behalf of the faculty and staff of the School of Law, I too welcome you to the degree ceremony for the class of 2019. We now turn to our first speaker. In keeping with our tradition of active student involvement, we ask the class to select a student to speak for them at their graduation. This year they have chosen Brenna Hill. As a student, Brenna was vice president of the Student Bar Association, an articles editor on the Law Review, vice president of the Criminal Law Society, a member of the Trial Advocacy Board, a member of the Moot Court Board, and a member of Richmond Women's Law. She was also a recipient of the Carrico Center Pro Bono certificate. Somehow she fit law school in addition to that. And I'm very pleased to present to you Brenna Hill.
Thank you, Dean Perdue. Good afternoon, family, friends, colleagues, and members of the Richmond community. I'm honored to have been chosen as a student speaker, and I take my task today very seriously, which is why I decided to prepare with the same intensity we all devote for an upper-level writing class. So late last night, I began. You can't imagine my surprise when I found out that the only thing Quimby doesn't sell is law school commencement speeches, so I hope you all bear with me. All jokes aside, I'm truly humbled to be before you today. Our time at Richmond has been transformative. Over the last 3 years, we have all had opportunities to grow as individuals. We have met incredible people and formed lifetime friendships with our classmates. We not only learned about the law, but started to practice it through placements, clinics, moot court, and trial competitions. We have been challenged and nurtured by amazing faculty, and you really can't put a price tag on all that. Well, maybe you can. And if you did, I guess it might be somewhere around $64,000 a year, but who's counting? I know that each of our times here at Richmond have been different, marked by our own personal set of triumphs and challenges. But there are some experiences and realizations I think we've all shared in. I know we've all prayed not to be the victim of a professor's cold call, and we all eventually came to realize that a 2-credit paper class was substantially more work than a 3-credit class. We all learned, and some of us the hard way, that the multi-state professional responsibility exam was no joke and actually required more than 2 days of studying. And I think we all shared in our feeling of gratitude when they decided to make all of the bathrooms individual ones with locks, so we could now have more places to cry about our grades in peace. Apart from the things in law school we learned that we can now laugh about, we also have accomplished so many more meaningful things. We've run symposiums, published articles, organized clubs, events, debates, discussions, and so much more. And our accomplishments outside of the legal field are just as extraordinary. Our original class of 112 students was handpicked out of 1,871 applicants. We come from 13 different countries, and we speak 15 different languages. One of us graduated first in our class from the French Culinary Institute. One of us was an ESL teacher for a labor union. Another of us managed a moving company after quite literally being part of 2 men in a truck. One of us is an expert Irish step dancer, and among us there's a Division I lacrosse player, soccer player, tennis pro, an expert woodcarver, trap shooter, fencing expert, and varsity cheerleader. Many of you have also served our country, and for that, we thank you. 2 of you are even from Oklahoma, and 8 of you are double spiders. Many of you have gotten engaged, are married, or are parents, and 6 of you have had kids while in law school, which is amazing. Altogether, we have a wide array of hobbies, talents, and skills that provides each of us with a wealth of knowledge and experience. Our success is the result of countless hours of blood, sweat, and tears, not to mention books, papers, and a few beers, but we did not do it alone. We are here today, in part, because of the sacrifices and support of others. So I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the people who have helped make today possible. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our classmates who shared experiences, discussions, relationships, and interactions, whether we realize it or not, have had a tremendous and a profound effect on all of us. I'd also like to thank our families, friends, and loved ones who gave us the strength to carry on and believed in us even when we did not believe in ourselves. And given that tomorrow is Mother's Day, I'd like to especially thank all the moms out there, because without you, none of us would be here. So thanks, Mom. Lastly, I want to thank the Richmond faculty, who are genius in their teaching and practical in their application, and who took countless hours out of their day to meet with us, not just to discuss classwork, but to see if we as individuals were doing okay. I'd also like to give a personal shout out to all the students who actually created their own original outlines. I know I don't just speak for myself when I say I probably wouldn't be graduating today without the hard work of students like you, so thank you. I hope that when you leave today and embark on your legal careers, that you will all remember that you're indebted to Richmond, and not just financially, that you will show your Richmond law pride. Now, you may not choose to show your pride by wearing a spider brooch, but I hope that you will all proudly tell people where you went to school. Even more important than telling people about the great education you've received is showing them through your actions, your choices, and your demeanor. Most of our lives, we've been reduced to numbers. Our accomplishments and our successes have been quantified and condensed into a numeric value. A number on your SAT got you into college, and a number on your LSAT and GPA got you into law school. For the past 3 years, despite Dean Gibson's assurances otherwise, a number has defined your class rank and what many of us, I'm sure, felt like our self-worth as soon-to-be lawyers. Many of us came to law school, however, precisely because we're not good with numbers, and I'm here to tell you that finally, the numbers no longer matter. What matters now is your reputation, your integrity, and the work you do. It is your judgment that clients pay for, and judgment is such a powerful tool. Many of us will end up in places and practice areas we never imagined. I hope no one ever feels complacent or stuck. Remember that law school did not teach us what the law is, but rather it gave us the tools on how to figure that question out. What makes a good lawyer isn't who's the smartest. It doesn't matter if you weren't in the top of the class, or you weren't on a journal, or if, like me, you never understood the rule against perpetuities. What defines us as lawyers is our perseverance, our compassion, our work ethic, and most importantly, our principles. To quote one of the most admired heroes of our generation, Albus Dumbledore, it is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. Dumbledore understood what I hope all of us will remember. Once you become flexible with your principles, as an individual or as a society, you lose yourself. Our adherence to our principles matters because first and foremost, we are going into a career of service. And when I talk about service, I'm not just referring to those among us going into public interest. I think the two things I've heard most about in law school are that reputation matters and that lawyers serve as counselors. As a lawyer, we serve in a position of trust. We work in service to our clients every day. Whether you're a public defender or a tax attorney, we work to solve problems. Our clients entrust us with their houses, their businesses, their livelihoods, and even their lives. And when we live up to our ideal reputation and serve as a true counselor to our clients, we are doing what the best lawyers have always done. We are helping people live together, work together, and thrive together. The care we show for our clients is a blueprint for the care that lawyers, at their best, show for society. As Peter Parker famously said, with great power comes great responsibility. So whether you head for a big firm or become a public servant, whether you hang out your own shingle, head into business, or even go into politics, you forge a path of your own making, and your training at Richmond will serve you well. And I don't just mean your training inside the classroom. I'm talking about what we have learned over the past 3 years about what it means to be a good lawyer, a good spouse, a good person, a good parent, a good child, and a good friend. To act with honesty, integrity, and conviction, even in the most trying and stressful of times. To never sacrifice yourself or your ethics for the job. When we graduate today, we join the ranks of some of the legal greats, like Thomas Jefferson, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Antonin Scalia, and now I'm even told maybe Kim Kardashian. Just remember that your ultimate duty is to a set of principles, not to the profits or perks of any profession. With this ceremony, we are marked as different. We take on a responsibility above and apart from the rest of society. We accept new obligations, standards, and principles. And I have little doubt that we're going to be able to live up to them. And that's because when I thought about how I would describe our class, one thing kept coming to mind, and that's Apple's 1997 Think Different campaign. For those of you who may not remember it, it starts out with pictures of great leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, and John Lennon going across the screen, as a voice in the background says, "Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers. They change things. They push the human race forward because the people who are crazy enough to change the world are the ones who do." I couldn't think of a more fitting example of what describes our class. I mean, just to ask the dean's office, we were the class with an opinion about everything. We gave them hell. Some might call us the class of complainers, but I'd call us the class of fighters. We fought for policies, budgets, diversity, inclusion, and even a new HVAC system. We were not complacent. We had a voice, and I think that is such a beautiful thing. So stay feisty, class of 2019, and congratulations, because we did it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Brenna. That was fabulous. Each year, the students from the graduating class also select a member of the faculty to speak to them at commencement. This year's faculty speaker is Professor Paul Crane. Professor Crane joined the faculty in 2016 as Assistant Professor of Law and is an expert in the fields of criminal law and criminal procedure. Prior to joining Richmond Law, he served as Bigelow Fellow at the University of Chicago Law School, an Assistant United States Attorney in the District of Columbia, and a Bristow Fellow for the Office of the Solicitor General of the United States. Professor Crane earned his BA, MA, and JD from the University of Virginia before clerking for Judge Wilkinson on the Fourth Circuit and Chief Justice Roberts on the United States Supreme Court. Starting next year, he has accepted a fantastic opportunity with the Department of Justice in a position with the Criminal Appellate Division. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my colleague, Professor Paul Crane.
Thank you, but before I give the speech, I have to actually follow through on a promise I made to my 2 children. Bear with me. And now it can only go downhill. Is that good enough? All right. They give me lots of tips. I want to first say thank you to the graduating class of 2019. Thank you for providing me the honor and incredible privilege of speaking to you today. I am humbled by the trust and the opportunity you have given me, and I am deeply unsure about the quality of your judgment. Thank you also, Wendy, for that very kind introduction. As one could probably glean, I am really, really good at changing jobs. On that note, and as many of you know or now know, I too am graduating in a way from Richmond Law today, after spending 3 years here. No, I do not leave with a fancy new diploma like all of you, but to be fair, I also leave with a lot less debt, so I guess I can't complain. And let's be honest with one another, if all of you are leaving the building, then what is the point of sticking around? Do not leave me behind. I'm grateful for the 3 years I spent here, and I hope you are too. I have gratitude for the many things I learned, such as how through a lot of hard work, patience, courage, and sheer tenacity, one can tackle and eventually overcome their arachnophobia. I will carry with me the positive relationships forged during my time here, and I will take with me the moments where I witnessed or was fortunate enough to be the beneficiary of someone's kindness, someone's thoughtfulness, someone's creativity, someone's dedication to making this tiny corner of the world a little bit better. I will remember those who practiced humility and generosity, and I imagine many of you might feel the same way. Most of all, I'll remember you, the students. You all are the best. I will remember your earnestness and excitement as 1Ls as you navigated the steep learning curve of a new language and a new way of thinking, and watching as the light bulbs went off about this holding or this concept. I will remember your commitment and perseverance as 2Ls, balancing schoolwork with journals and moot court and mock trial and other extracurricular activities, and if that weren't enough, internships and placements and job hunts and externships. And as 3Ls, I will remember your earnestness and excitement as 1Ls. You all have inspired me. It can sometimes be easy to get discouraged in life, and even easier still to get discouraged with the law or legal education. It is for that reason, as any of you who have had the misfortune of having me as a professor can attest, that I tend to like my humor the way I like my coffee, dark. But you all give me optimism. You give me hope about what the future looks like. You also have taught me many things about the law, learning, and myself. You may not have realized it, but I learn from each of you every day. You are consistently humble and consistently generous. You are the reason I was excited to go to work. Working with you all really wasn't work at all. You're a special group, and I can't wait to see where you go from here. When I learned you had chosen me to be your faculty speaker at the commencement ceremony, as I said, I was honored. Honored because you had the power to choose whom you wanted to speak, and you chose me. I, in turn, wanted to honor that choice and this opportunity by giving you a speech deserving of your time and your attention, a speech worthy of the privilege and now the power that you have given me. To be clear, you have given me power, the power to say anything I want to a captive audience, and I don't even have tenure. You took the power you had to choose a speaker and gave it to me. But you see, the thing is, I am no oracle. None of us is. Or is it are? None of us is, none of us are. Grammar was never really where I shined. Shone, shined, shone. Struck in white. God, get out of my head. Anyways, the truth is, there are no magic secrets waiting to be discovered on the other side of graduation or even on the other side of the bar. None of us have all the answers. I know I certainly don't. I, like you, am just trying to do the best I can. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we're right and sometimes we're wrong, and most of the time there isn't even a right or a wrong. The thing is, we're all fallible. It's important to remember that, whether looking at someone else or simply just the mirror, and that's okay. But since we all are fallible, because we all are flawed, any version of power, even something as small as one person giving a commencement address, makes me uneasy. And unexplained exercises of such power make me downright worried. Those concerns about power are related actually to what I believe is one of the great virtues of the law and something I continue to love about the law and the promise of the law. Many of you, when you came to law school, might have thought you were going to be spending hour after hour on the great substantive legal questions on our time, civil rights, equal protection, and the First Amendment. And instead, you were greeted with page after page of procedure. The rules of civil procedure, the rules of criminal procedure, the rules of evidence, the Administrative Procedure Act, filing rules, jurisdictional rules, rules about testimony, rules about discovery, rules about passing statutes, rules about making regulations, rules about interpreting laws, interpreting regulations, rules about the making of rules. You guys doing okay out there? You learn that process, not substance, is the beating heart of the law. You likewise learned about legal reasoning, the importance of explaining the basis for your position or ultimate conclusion, and that the persuasiveness of your conclusion depended on the strength of your underlying analysis. You learn that conclusory assertions don't get you very far, or at least they shouldn't. And those two things, an emphasis on process and the belief that a conclusion is only as strong as the analysis upon which it rests, are two pillars of the law and two things that ease my concerns when it comes to power. In my view, this is what makes the rule of law and lawyers, yes, you all, lawyers, so promising and so valuable. They can help alleviate a vexing and inescapable tension that exists in the world. Power must be exercised by people, and people are fallible. So in that spirit, I want to share with you the process I used when deciding what to tell you today, and share with you my analysis so that you may better judge for yourself the persuasiveness of what I say at the end. When thinking about what to say today, I first did what any respectable lawyer would do and considered precedent. And by precedent, I mean prior commencement speeches. I initially considered my own graduations with the hope of gleaning insights from the graduation speakers I listened to when I was sitting in a chair like yours. And you know what? I don't remember what any of them said. I was there, I was paying attention, I really think I was, and I don't remember. Which is to say, my expectations on whether any of you remember anything, except perhaps the disastrous floss experience, are very, very low. So much of happiness is depending on having realistic expectations, and I am trying to have that. I then moved on from that embarrassment and did what any respectable lawyer would do next, and I researched. And by research, I mean Googled, quote, good commencement speech, end quote. Note, I said good, not great. Again, realistic expectations and all. And what I found was akin to reading a bunch of out-of-state cases. Other commencement speeches are helpful as far as they go, but they can only advance the ball so far, since they involve a different speaker, a different audience, and a different point in time. Upon realizing I was dealing with what we lawyers would call an issue of first impression, I then tried to reason by analogy, another common and familiar method lawyers use. And I thought about what I would have wanted to hear at my graduation from law school 12 years ago. That led me writing down some piece of advice I most wished I had received back in 2007. And here's what I wrote. Number 1, buy as much Netflix stock as possible. That would have been really nice to know back then. 2, do not be a passenger to your own life. It can be easy, and is certainly tempting to do so, to follow paths that are laid with the bricks of shoulds and oughts, Someone told me so's, and I don't have a good reason not to. I wish someone had told me to really interrogate the basis for my choices in life and to ensure that they were my own and really a reflection of myself. Third, finally, I would have wanted someone to say, you're already good enough. You're going to be okay. And even when you slip or fall down or make a mistake, or even when you screw up royally, you are deserving of love and forgiveness. And it's still going to be okay. I still struggle with that one. Now, some of those pieces of advice may not be as applicable to you as they are to me. But it was at this point I felt like I was finally starting to get some traction about what to say to you all today. I realized that the things I wished I had heard when I was sitting in those chairs was not about how to be a successful lawyer or what was waiting for me in terms of my professional career, but rather words that spoke to me as a whole person, not just a soon-to-be lawyer. You all are so much more than soon-to-be lawyers, and you will be so much more than lawyers. That will be part of who you are and part of what you do, but it does not and need not define you. And if you find yourself nodding to that, then I encourage you to always remember the following as well. Your clients, your opponents, your future colleagues, they are whole people too. Now finally, I did one last thing. I asked other people what advice they would want to give you if they could be up here speaking to you. I asked people I know and people I didn't know. I asked people from all walks of life with all sorts of backgrounds and in all sorts of professions. The vast majority of people I asked are not lawyers or law students. You have heard probably too much from them already. And I didn't want you to hear just from me. I wanted to take some of the power you had given me and disperse it to others. Give other people with a wider range of voices and a wider range of experiences than my own the chance to share with you what they would want to tell you. And what I got back was incredible. I was struck by how seriously everyone took it. Even people I didn't previously know, such as people I asked while grabbing a coffee or a meal or buying some jeans. These are all people who don't know you and likely will never meet you, and they each had a real seriousness of purpose and thoughtfulness about what they would want to tell you. No one made a lawyer joke, not one. For a profession with a public reputation often maligned as lawyers, this was striking. Instead, almost every single person I spoke to wanted to tell you things that were not about you being a soon-to-be lawyer or graduating law student, but rather just as a person entering the next big chapter of their life. And I kept hearing back time and time again was to me so moving. They wanted you to find happiness, to be true to yourself, to stand up for what is right even when that will be hard to do, and you may have to go it alone, to practice empathy and compassion, and to help people who are less powerful than you will be. They talked about the importance of having purpose and passion in your life. In short, this menagerie of people that do not know you were cheering you on, wishing you happiness and good fortune, and encouraging you to help those around you. What a beautiful and moving thing. So to recap on where we are so far, I told you the issue, what to tell you in my speech. I told you the rule, there's no real precedent, an issue of first impression. I've explained to you the basis of my analysis. Now it's time for my conclusion. Whoa, did Crane just drop a little IRAC on you? Yes, I did. Where's the legal research and writing professors? Thank you. And for the non-lawyers in the audience, that is IRAC, not IRAQ. I don't know what IRAQ would even mean other than outcast bomb over Baghdad, but that's not what I just did. IRAC, go ask your graduate afterwards. They will probably not be happy to tell you about it. That's why they're laughing the hardest. My conclusion is this: be kind to yourself and kind to others. And that will be much easier to do if you remember to see yourself and see others as whole people. Imperfect people doing the best they can, people full of dignity, people deserving of respect and kindness, people walking down their own path, searching for happiness with their own unique hopes, dreams, and challenges. By remembering to see yourself as a whole person, you will be able to better chart your own path, a path that better reflects who you are and what you want and what brings you happiness. And by viewing yourself as a whole person, and not simply as a lawyer, you will be better able to choose what makes you, not just the lawyer part of you, happy. Only you know what that is and will be. I don't know what that looks like for each of you. I couldn't possibly know, but I so very much hope each of you experiences it. Try to avoid walking down a path of shoulds or oughts, for those are not your path, but the paths trodden by others. And remember that you have so many people cheering you on, people like me and people you do not even know and will never meet, wishing you happiness on whatever roads you take in life. And if that gives you any sort of comfort or confidence or encouragement, recognize that you can do, and I hope do, the same for others. Just as only you know what will bring you happiness and fulfillment, the same goes for others as well. I hope you will view other people, people who you know and people who you don't, as whole people too. People seeking happiness based on their own unique hopes, dreams, and wishes, just like yourself. People who are fallible, just like yourself. People deserving of kindness and respect, just like yourself. I will caution you, though, that this last part, viewing other people as whole people with their own unique set of dreams and unique set of challenges, can sometimes be much easier said than done. This is especially true when they are living a life you would not choose for yourself, or a life that doesn't feel familiar to you. And it can be more difficult still if you don't take time to see and think about the various challenges and headwinds someone else might be facing, especially if those are challenges and headwinds you are not facing yourself. I have had to learn this and will probably be needing to learn this my entire life. I am a white, heterosexual, cisgender male. By virtue of those things, there are societal headwinds, challenges, disrespects, and discrimination that I will never have to face. I am not and have not been the victim or target of misogyny, racism, homophobia, or transphobia. I do not know what it is like to be on the sharp end of those societal daggers. That means in order for me to be kind to, and to cheer on, and to respect somebody who is facing one or more of those things, there is an obligation on me to see and, as best as possible, understand what that person's experience in the world must be like. I have been fortunate to have many inspiring and patient people teach me those things. They have been generous in doing so. And what I have learned and what I have seen, and what I encourage all of you to learn and to see and to cheer on, is the courage, resiliency, bravery, and grace that is all around us. To see the courage, resiliency, bravery, and grace so many people, so many of you, act with each and every day, persevering through small slights and devastating discrimination. And when you see that, and it is everywhere, make a point of cheering those people on. Make a point of directing your attention and energy at those worthy of admiration, not your ire. Direct your attention to those rising above, not those dragging down. And what a beautiful and inspiring world you will see. In short, when you look at or think about someone else, I hope you respond the same way all those other people did when I asked them what they would want to tell you today. Cheer them on, wish them happiness and good fortune, and see them as whole people too. Whole people with their own set of dreams for happiness and their own set of challenges. We are all just pebbles skipping along the pond of life. May your ripples be ones of kindness, humility, and generosity. Go out there, live the life you want to lead, and cheer each other on. And know that no matter what, I and so many others are cheering you on too. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Joining us for this happy occasion is Gregg Web class of 1995. Mr. Webb is a partner at Mitchie Hamlet in Charlottesville, where he specializes in personal injury law. Graduate of the University of Virginia, Mr. Webb served 4 years on active duty in the United States Army before enrolling in Richmond Law. Today, he serves as a member of the Richmond Law Advisory Board, as well as the Board of Governors for the Virginia Trial Lawyers Association and the American Association for Justice. Please join me in welcoming Gregg Webb.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to welcome you as our newest alumni. You represent the greatest asset of our fine institution, its outstanding students and graduates. We are proud of you and proud of the University of Richmond School of Law. I look forward to meeting each of you as we continue to work together to support our alma mater. Our principal speaker today is Michael N. Herring. After receiving his undergraduate degree in economics in 1987 and his law degree in 1990, both from the University of Virginia, Mr. Herring began practicing law in Richmond. He started his career as an associate at Hunton & Williams, later joining the Office of the Commonwealth's Attorney in 1992, where he served as a senior felony trial attorney for violent crimes and narcotics offenses. He returned to private sector in 1996 at the law firm of LeClaire Ryan, where his practice focused on medical malpractice and criminal defense. Prior to his election as Commonwealth's attorney, he was a partner at the law firm of Bricker and Herring, where he continued to practice criminal defense and expanded his work to include plaintiff's medical malpractice. Mr. Herring served as the first African-American president of the Richmond Bar Association in 2005. It is a past chairman of the Board of Governors of the Criminal Law Section of the Virginia State Bar and of the 3rd District Attorney Disciplinary Committee. He is an active member of various professional organizations, including the American College of Trial Lawyers, and a member of the adjunct faculty here at the University of Richmond Law School. He is also very active in several government, community, and nonprofit boards. Please join me in welcoming Michael Herring.
So let me just start by thanking President Crutcher, Dean Perdue, saying hi to many of my friends and some new acquaintances on the faculty, and to you, the students. I must confess, this is a huge deal, not just for you, but for me. I can't thank you enough that you allowed me to share this day with you, and I'm probably going to have more fun than I should, but as Professor Crane stated, once you surrender the microphone, there you are. So for most of you, this journey began 3 years ago. And if your experiences have been at all like mine were in law school, some days have been better than others. Think back to the first semester of your first year, or maybe better yet, on this happy occasion, we shouldn't revisit the first semester of your first year. How about this? Let's just agree that law school can be a sort of mixed experience, that on some days makes you feel very smart and accomplished, but on others it can be rather humbling. You'll discover that this is also true in the actual practice of law. For the last 15 years or so, I've had the pleasure of witnessing the growth of T.C. Williams students up close, as an adjunct in Professor Douglas's Law Skills program, or as host to countless interns and fellows back at work at the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office. On really special occasions, probably when you all couldn't find anybody else, I've had the honor of serving as a judge for many of your advocacy competitions. And listening to Brenna, I have to say I never cease to be amazed by the number of activities and the amount of programming that you fit into your semesters on top of an already rigorous curriculum. But beyond your industriousness, sometimes I've been so impressed by your work that I've literally covered my mouth to conceal smiles of approval. And if you've ever watched me judging competitions, you'll see me do this. And in law skills class, when I just can't contain myself, when a student surpasses every reasonable expectation, sometimes for reasons very unique to that student, I've been known to just let go with yes, startling the student, embarrassing myself just like now. So today you've earned the right to pat yourselves on the back. And as corny as it may seem, I want you to do just that, seriously. I want you all to pat each other on the back. But there are rules of engagement to this. I want you to do it in a non-Biden Trump style. No hands anywhere but center back, and for heaven's sake, no kisses. But I would like you to pat each other on the back very quickly, just a simple gesture to acknowledge the hard work that you've done. There you go, to the person to the right or to the left. Excellent. You're brimming with excitement. I see it, brimming with excitement and optimism at the prospect of wonderful opportunities awaiting you at firms, agencies, in private practice, and elsewhere. But you also know that tomorrow marks the beginning of another weightier chapter, marked by responsibility and gravity. And I'm not talking about studying for the bar exam, which I concede is not the most enjoyable way to spend your summer. Although here's a study tip for your bar prep, okay? In the mornings, don't run, don't work out, don't do yoga. Instead, right after you have a healthy, moving breakfast, watch soap operas. And in my day, the juicy ones were The Young and the Restless, or Another World. All of the people my generation can remember those. Or watch shows like Jerry Springer or The Price is Right. After about an hour of that torture, even your bar review materials are appealing. And listen, they motivate you because you realize that if you don't pass the bar, you will spend many more mornings watching soap operas and game shows. So fairly or not, the world regards you differently now that you have a JD. You will be held to a different standard, and rightly so, because of what is so often entrusted to your care and your judgment. To some extent, people will just assume that you instantly have the skills to solve their problems. In an odd sort of way, they'll want some connection to you as the lawyer they can call. I know your chest is swelling right now and you're feeling warm on the inside. It's nice to be wanted, right? But here's the real news flash. People won't seek you out because lawyers are inherently fun, witty, and charming, which we are. By and large, they come to you for guidance when something has gone terribly wrong or when something incredibly important is at stake. They will come to you in confidence with different levels of sophistication, sometimes vulnerable and sometimes with agendas. So depending on the nature of your practice, it's safe to assume you will rarely see your clients at their best. Because of your training and because you will want to be helpful, you get past your first impressions of clients and you listen intently. You may even be moved by the things your clients and your witnesses share with you. And as this happens, whether you realize it or not, you will internalize what you hear and feel, so that to some degree, it literally becomes a part of you. Whether you experience this as a rush, or as stress, or mere preoccupation, the impact of that client relationship on you must be managed just as closely as you manage your work product and the business of your office. Stated differently, sometimes lawyers become so invested in the matters they work on. Sometimes they devote so much care and attention to the welfare of others that they forget to take care of themselves. So my tone now is probably more serious than many of you are accustomed to in our interactions around the law school. And don't get me wrong, the practice of law can be fun and exhilarating. Doing really good work for your clients, not to mention winning contested matters, is both validating and rewarding. But as you've no doubt heard time and again, the key to a healthy, successful practice is about so much more than wins or losses. Think about it. The lawyers we admire most do some pretty remarkable things in their practices. And most of the time, their accomplishments don't garner media attention. The traits we recognize in them are poise, clarity, persuasiveness, passion. They have this uncanny ability to not just see the ultimate issue in the case, they seem to take hold of it and shape it into a form of their choosing. But when you get to know these lawyers personally, when you actually talk to them, what you discover is that they figured something else out: balance. I won't trivialize this point by suggesting to you that they're successful because they work hard and play hard. In fact, over time, the lawyers that play too hard end up being the subject of headlines. And believe me, headlines about lawyers are rarely flattering. Instead, the best lawyers manage to sustain their practices at high levels because they draw a line between themselves and their work. They recognize that their relationships with family, friends, and loved ones are just as important as their relationships with clients. Frankly, the people who've joined you here today to celebrate matter just as much, if not more, than any client or issue you may work on. At 53 years old, and now in my 29th year of practice, I suppose I qualify as an old head. Now, Alex, I'm going to deviate from script to really illustrate this point. For those of you who have teenagers at home, and maybe even some of the grads, it may shock you to learn that I discovered this week that the lyric, "bags in the coop, busting through the roof," doesn't mean my luggage is already in my car and I'm ready to hit the road. My daughters were horrified when I insisted that that is what Cardi B meant and that the lyric was an example of her maturity. I'm telling you, humbling. I see the world very differently than I did in the early stages of my career. My notion of a lawyer hero has broadened beyond local luminaries like Oliver Hill, Lewis Powell, and Judge Marriage. I am impressed now by people like my colleague and class of 2000 UR grad Chris Bullard, who's a deputy Commonwealth's attorney in our office, who for the last 15 years, this is no exaggeration, every day for the last 15 years, he's left work at 11:30 to feed his son at the Faison School, right? He does this even during trial. And there are people on your faculty who've worked with Chris and me and know this to be true. And another local attorney, Craig Cooley, one of the best criminal lawyers in the country, who I'm convinced is so successful not because he's crazy smart, but because he listens. He's patient with his clients, with witnesses, with judges, and with adversaries. But when you talk to Craig, he doesn't talk about his cases, many of which result in exceptional outcomes. Craig shares stories of his farm and his grandkids. Balance. So when people like me are recruiting lawyers, of course we look for bright candidates who are willing to work hard. But we also look for potential colleagues who appreciate the value of balance, not only in life, but also in judgment. We want lawyers who recognize the awesome power they have to initiate process by civil complaint and criminal indictment. Whenever I discuss criminal justice policy, invariably at some point and in some way, I draw a distinction between can and should. And I do my best to make the point that the difference between a good lawyer and good software is a heart and discretion. I remind myself that the weight of the legal system, the gravity of which we're used to because it's our stock in trade, can have a profound impact on the people who are the subject of our cases. For the average person, legal matters, litigation, not to mention criminal litigation, can be incredibly disruptive. We as lawyers move on from one matter or one case to the next. But the folks we represent, the folks we cross-examine, the folks at the heart of our cases must live with the consequences of what we do. So advocate zealously, but also be careful and be thoughtful about what you do. Early on, you may not get to choose the matters you work on, and so you will rely on instincts and training to do the work that comes your way. For the past 3 years, you've worked hard to hone your skills of critical reasoning, negotiation, and advocacy. But the limitation of your training is that while it provides you with the mechanics to perform certain tasks, it doesn't guide you on how qualitatively to do your work. Many years ago, it occurred to me that I would enjoy a longer, more fulfilling practice if I could be proud of the way I did my job. And this was true regardless of whether I was on the winning side. So here's a simple rule of thumb. This isn't complicated. It's what I like to call kindergarten logic. Odds are, if you're proud of the work you did, then you advocated not just competently and not just zealously, but honestly and with decency and respectfully. One of the more important lessons I'm learning because of my many years in public service is to avoid judging people who are the subject of my work. And this is true certainly as a prosecutor. Because the volume of our work can be so high, it can be easy to reduce people to case names or indictment numbers, like Commonwealth versus Tucker, or case number F192435. That depersonalization is a slippery slope to seeing people as less worthy or lesser than. And if you add a healthy layer of implicit bias, then it gets really complicated. And I'm still trying to sort this out. I remind myself that notwithstanding the harm a defendant has done, or the way witnesses look or sound, or for those of you who've actually been in courtrooms, smell, I've been lucky not to have lived that person's experience. I'm learning that empathy is just as important as strategy. So this isn't a joke, but some jokes begin with, a funny thing happened to me on the way to, and literally an interesting thing happened to me on the way to the Supreme Court 2 weeks ago. For those of you who've been to downtown Richmond, you know that the courthouse sits across the street from the social services building. So what that means is that you can get a real interesting cross-section of people between the courthouse and the social services building. And typically when I walk this stretch, somebody recognizes me. And typically the person will call out to me from a distance of 50 yards, maybe even a couple blocks. And it feels like a bit of a standoff at the OK Corral. Mr. Herring! And I'm walking. And I have to make a quick judgment, right? Do I turn around and acknowledge this person on the street not knowing where this interaction is headed? Or do I keep my gaze trained forward and go on about my business? But on this day, I hear, Mr. Herring. And I turn around and there's this woman. And she's standing there and she's just beaming, just smiling, 30 yards away. And I didn't recognize who she was, but something about her was familiar. And she could see on my face that I was having trouble placing her. And she said, it's Jewel, literally, Jewel. And you know how people say my heart stopped? It really felt like my heart stopped because I knew who she was. In a very contested trial with a lawyer who is frequently the subject of bad headlines, I sent her and her mother and her mother's live-in boyfriend to the Department of Corrections for manslaughter. So you're getting the picture now. It's one of those calls. It's Mr. Herring. Except that she doesn't look unstable. She doesn't look disheveled. She's standing there in a work uniform. And so that gave me some confidence that this was probably going to be an okay encounter. And I walked up to her and I said, how have you been? And she's still smiling. And she says, I'm great. I'm out. I'm working. And I probably crossed a boundary that I shouldn't have, but I couldn't resist. I congratulated her on how far she'd come, and I asked her if I could give her a hug. And this woman that I'd sent to the Department of Corrections, right there at 9th and Marshall, gave me a great big hug. So I don't know whether this is more a story of her redemption or mine, but it stuck with me. It stuck with me. For many reasons, your generation of lawyers is fascinating to folks my age. The best water cooler jokes used to start with, "What do you call a millennial that?" And for all you Gen Yers, we simply refer to you all with text vernacular, and it usually begins with a WTF or an SMDH. But a few things about you all we have to admire and acknowledge. You're smart as the dickens. You are creative. You are tenacious, utterly intolerant of slow change, and you will stand up for the things you believe in. Keep it up. Keep it all up. Congratulations, you sassy class of 2019.
Thank you so much, Mr. Herring. Now I'd like to introduce Associate Dean Jack Price, who will present student honors and awards. You just put it on top.
Use this if you don't mind. Greetings, class of 2019. It's my job to hand out the awards, which is great, but actually first, there's something additional that has to happen. I get to receive an award. The law school's third-year class gift was established in 2005 and has been growing in size and participation every year. The educational experience you've had over the last 3 years was possible in large part because of the generosity of alumni and friends who came before you. We hope you will continue your generous giving in support of the institution and those that will follow you in pursuit of their legal education. Now, the class gift representatives, Frankie Vitale and Matthew Lasher, will present the class gift.
Thank you, Dean Price. Hello, my name is Matt Lasher, and standing beside me is Frankie Vitale, and we are the 3L representatives for the class of 2019. As many of you know, the 3L class traditionally runs a campaign in their final year of law school to raise a gift that will support the students who come after us. The class gift campaign is a reminder that we do not undertake our legal education alone. All money raised during this year's class gift campaign will help fund office needs and startup costs for a new counselor serving law students. Mental health is something very important to our class, and we are honored to be able to help provide assistance to future Richmond lawyers. This year, over 55% of the 3L class contributed to the class gift campaign, contributing a total of more than $2,200. Thank you for your generosity. I would like to recognize the members of the 3L Class Gift Committee: Brittany Barnett, Brenna Hill, Molly Laird, Caroline McCants, Catherine Morley, and John Neary, who served with Frankie Vitale and myself. Again, thank you to the committee members and all who contributed. This gift will leave a lasting legacy for those who follow in our footsteps and continue the University of Richmond's tradition of generosity to others. So it is with my pleasure to present the Law Class of 2019 gift. Frankie, will you do the honors?
On behalf of all of us, I thank you for your generosity and for becoming partners in our tradition of being generous to others. It's part of what we do, and we're very grateful for your starting out so well in that tradition. You're on, yes, okay. There we go.
All right, now on to the awards. These awards are listed in the back of your bulletin, and you can follow along there with the descriptions. These recipients have all been chosen by the law school faculty. The first award is the Virginia Trial Lawyers Association of Student Advocate Award. This year's recipient is a talented advocate who won one of 9 outstanding advocate awards at the Region 5 National Trial Competition. She also serves in a leadership role for the Trial Advocacy Board. Carolyn McCants, please come forward. This year's recipient of the International Academy of Trial Lawyers Student Advocacy Award joined the Trial Advocacy Board during his first year of law school and was one of the winners of the Virginia Trial Lawyers Association competition. He participated in both the American Association of Justice competition and the Costello competition, and according to one nominator, has gone above and beyond to promote trial advocacy at UR. Kurt Lockwood, please come forward. I am now proud to announce the names of the graduating students receiving the honor of designation of the Order of the Barristers. I would ask that each student please stand as I call your name, and please hold your applause until the last name is called. Gordon Burt, John Fortin, Lilius Gordon, Marianne Grover, Kurt Lockwood, Carolyn McCants, Mitch Torrance, James Williams, and Danny Zemmel. Congratulations. Next is the Family Law Award. The winner of this award has devoted herself to the Family Law Clinic and the Children's Defense Clinic. Her nominators remarked that she shows remarkable integrity, character, and intelligence in the courtroom and with clients, and is destined to make a difference in family law in the future. Rachel Legay, please come forward. Next is the National Association of Women Lawyers Award. This year's recipient has a reputation as an industrious, thoughtful, and kind leader. Her leadership and involvement at Richmond Law includes the Law Review, Richmond Women's Law, the Federalist Society, and the Real Estate Law Society. Next year, she will pursue a specialized LLM degree in tax law. Chiffon Coles Williams, please come forward to receive this award. The winner of the Faculty Award for Excellence in the field of intellectual property is a recipient of the IP certificate who worked with clients through the IP and Transactional Law Clinic. He interned at the United States Patent and Trademark Office and will go on to work as a patent attorney after graduation. Seth Brunel, please come forward. The Osville Jackson Jr. Award for Excellence in Intellectual Property goes to a student who has contributed to the IP community inside and outside the law school. He served as president of the Student Intellectual Property Law Association and as liaison to the Greater Richmond IP Law Association. He also earned the IP Law Certificate and participated in the IP Law and Transactional Clinic. James Williams, please come accept your award. Now we come to the Faculty Award for Excellence in the Study of Labor and Employment Law. The winners of this award have demonstrated excellence in their coursework in the field. The winners are Chris Albiston, Emma Cusumano, and Lilius Gordon. Please come forward. The American Bankruptcy Institute Medal of Excellence goes to a student who excelled in her bankruptcy coursework. That student is Sarah Gallo. Please come forward. This year, the faculty have awarded the C.C. Williams Law School Scholarship Award to a student who has demonstrated exceptional leadership of a student-run journal. As one of her student nominators noted, she not only modernized the editing process, but also regularly puts in 80 hours a week and is a constant help to staff members on the law review. Sora Coe is the recipient of this award. Sora is unable to be with us today, but we congratulate her again in absentia. There are 3 winners for this year's Oral Brown Award for Clinical Excellence in the Children's Law Center. All 3 recipients have demonstrated exceptional service to their clients and to the clinic. Jesse Juergens, Sabrina Miller-Tyson, and Eva Swanson, please come forward. The Virginia State Bar Section on Criminal Law Award is presented to a student who has excelled in criminal law studies and demonstrates promise in the criminal law area. In her role as president of the Criminal Law Society, this student has organized innovative programming for the student body. She's even coordinated a summer program for middle school students explaining the basics of the criminal justice system. Brooke Throckmorton, please come forward to accept your award. The winner of this year's Cudlip Medal for the highest grade point average at the end of the second year is Jane Baber. Jane, please come forward to receive this medal. All right, a couple more awards. The two recipients of the Public Interest Law Association Pro Bono Award have excelled in public interest coursework and have been engaged extensively in pro bono programs. One of the recipients has volunteered for almost every single Carrico Center pro bono or public service program. The other has been a tremendous leader in the Veterans Appeals program, and both have committed countless hours to the local community. Hayden Ann Breedlove and John Fortin, please come forward. The Nina R. All right, another round of applause. The Nina R. Heston Service Award is not given every year, but rather only when the faculty believe that a student has shown extraordinary contributions to the school, the community, and the profession. This year, we're honored to recognize two students with this prestigious award. The first recipient has been a leader on the Public Interest Law Review and the American Constitutional Society. The student has also spearheaded pro bono outreach efforts, including the Trans Law Name Change Clinic and the Period Piece Menstrual Product Donation Drive. They have been an advocate for fellow students, some of whom wrote that this individual's legacy at this school will be of zealous advocacy for marginalized communities of all kinds, a masterful organizer who is willing to give tirelessly of themselves in pursuit of what they know to be right. Gianna Feinberg, please come forward to receive this award. The next recipient has received the Cali Award in 4 classes and has been an active participant in the Client Counseling and Negotiation Board, as well as the Public Interest Law Journal, and even instituted a public service requirement for journal members. She has been recognized for her intelligence, integrity, and passion for justice. As one faculty member put it, she's an all-round rock star with great leadership and commitment in the public interest arena. Mary Ann Grover, would you please come forward to receive your award? And finally, this year's winner of the Charles T. Norman Award for the best all-round graduating student has been a constant force in the law school for the last 3 years. This student is at the top of her class and served on leadership boards of the McNeil Law Society and the Honor Council. Throughout her law school career, she's been actively involved in pro bono opportunities, including the Wills for Seniors and Wills for Veterans programs, as well as in the greater legal community. She has also served as editor-in-chief of the Journal of Law and Technology. As one faculty nominator put it, she is academically gifted, a creative thinker, committed to improving the profession, and supportive of others. Nicole Alaband, please come forward to receive your award. A final applause for all of our recipients.
Graduation is a very special occasion because it gives the university an opportunity to recognize those who have completed the requirements of the faculty and who have fulfilled the expectations of the entire university community. Our warm congratulations go to all these members of the University of Richmond School of Law class of 2019 as we now prepare to present them their diplomas. I'll now call on Associate Provost Dr. Sandra Yorman.
Will the graduating class please rise? Mr. President, on behalf of the faculty of the University of Richmond School of Law, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees of Masters of Laws and Juris Doctor.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees and upon the faculty's recommendation of completed requirements, I confer upon you the degree of Masters of Law and Juris Doctor of the University of Richmond with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereto.
Will the graduating class please come forward to receive your diplomas?
We now recognize the candidates for the Master of Laws degree for May 2019. Nathaniel Kabore. Hwai-Pyung Lee. Fernanda Del Campari Maya da Cunha. Friedis Helene Olvag Rickardson. Isaro Rodriguez. We now recognize the candidates for the Juris Doctorate degree for May 2019. Alexis G. Adams. Mohammed Abdulrahman Al-Othman. Emily Albus. Christopher M. Albiston. Nicole M. Alaband. Madeline E. Allen. Spencer Scott Allen. Enktuya Basenku. Jane Bronwyn Baber. Brittany Marie Barnett. Catherine E. Bauer. Shevpar Beishanaliba. Emily Benedict. Nikita Solman Bojani. Robert Harlan Bly. Creighton Elizabeth R. Boggs. Jenna Blake Boulay. Caitlin Caldwell Brando. Hayden Ann Breedlove. Jennifer J. Brennan. Rebecca A. Briggs. Abby McGowan Broughton. Seth W. Bruneel. Gordon J. Burt. Andrea Rose Carver. Carly Michelle Celestino. Evan V. Clark. Sherfan Jasmika Coles-Williams. Lucas J. Combs. Emma Pearl Cusimano. Kenneth J. DeSantis. Adam Joseph Durafay. Nicholas C. Driver. Matthew Jameson Douglin. Juliet Ingram Edwards. Gianna L. Feinberg. David Kafri Forsyth. John A. Fortin. Seth C. Fulton. Sarah Elizabeth Gallo. Michael Thomas G. Naisha Rashad Gibbs. Jason Forrest Goldsmith. Lilius Margaret Gordon. Nicole Amanda Graham. Emma Christine Gregor. Caroline LaRue Grossweiler. Marianne T. Grover. Madison Claire Gidree. David Joseph Hart. Linda Suzette Hartzell. Riley Haynes Henry. Brenna M. Hill. Elliot Williamson Hill. Sarah Elizabeth Hornberger. Daria Ivanova. Rachel H. Jewell. Jesse L. Jurgens. Joseph Nathan Katz. Jeremy Sungyeon Kim. Jason Christopher Kodoridis. Molly Roma Laird. Matthew W. Lasher. Jonathan Michael Lazaro. Marina Constance Leary. Jessica Lynn Lipford. Kurt Dean Lockwood. Rachel Naomi Lugay. Ella Marquina. Caroline J. McCants. Brandon Lee McFarland. Justin David Mihalik. Sarah T. Mikowski. Sabrina Miller Bryson. Ilya Sergeyevich Mirov. Maria Barbara Mochitska. Catherine Elizabeth Morley. Jonathan Richard Neary. Emily Elizabeth Palumbo. Amos Sean Record. Ari Victoria Reinhardt. Lindsay Nicole Roten. Margaret Cotter Rockwell. Elizabeth Natalie Ross. Hannah Sachs Sager. Alec Von Sobel. Nakisha Marie Simmons. Rachel Harriet Sneed. Evan William Stasny. Eva R. Swanson. Sarah Richardson Tandy. Hallie Taylor. Stephen R. Thompson. Leah Brooke Throckmorton. Tara C. Tien Tien. Mitchell D. Torrance. Francesca Isabella Vitale. Joshua C. Vocal. Helen Vu. Adam Fortune Wall. James Dylan Williams. Yu Chang Xing. Yenny Yuen. Sarah Zacharias. Daniel Zemmel. The following candidates are receiving their degrees today from various family members who are alumni of the University of Richmond. Will those persons please join your graduate at this time? Charles Trumbull Brooks. Presented by his father, David Brooks, Richmond College, class of 1976. Victor Anthony Shaheen, Jr. Presented by his father, Victor Shaheen, Sr., Richmond Law, class of 1980. Rachel Erin Juan Weinberg Rue. Presented by her mother, Marcia Weinberg, West Hampton College, class of 1973.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in saluting the graduating class of 2019. And now, just a very brief word to the class of 2019. Each of you has worked very hard for this accomplishment, but you did not do so alone. You stood on the shoulders of parents and grandparents, spouses, siblings, and friends. I would therefore ask that the class of 2019 rise and turn and acknowledge those people who helped you get here. This concludes the graduation ceremony. Will the mace bearer please come forward and retrieve the mace? Please remain seated for the recessional. Our new graduates will follow the bagpiper to the reception on the Robbins Center Terrace, located behind me. Please join your graduates there. Ushers will direct you, and have a wonderful afternoon.